After delays, court interventions, and all the other complaints that are surrounding the WFI, finally the election date has been announced. August 12th is finally, you will see elections held in the Wrestling Federation of India. And in this video, what I am going to tell you is the long drawn out saga that has engulfed the WFI ever since 2023. Now remember, these elections are very, very important, not just for the WFI, but also for the Indian wrestlers, because they risked a bigger sanction if there were no elections held in the WFI. Now here I will tell you the timeline. How did it all begin? Why the election itself was on the cusp of being jeopardized? And how did it finally come to the date of August 12th? So, WFI elections finally will be held on August 12th. The nominations will be filed on August 1. Deadline for elections were already missed twice prior to the August 12th announcement. So that is why this date now one hopes that there is no further hurdle or obstacle. WFI hoping to avoid suspension by UWW, the United World Wrestling, the global body that monitors wrestling in the world. And if they had fallen foul of the UWW guidelines, then there were bigger repercussions in place. Now, how exactly did this administrative quagmire begin in the Wrestling Federation? Now, you all remember that from January onwards, the wrestlers, Vinesh Fogart, Bajrang Punia, Sakshi Malik, all of them were protesting against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. They wanted to clean up the administration. There were sexual harassment charges and a whole lot of other allegations that were leveled at him. After 3 days, the protests dispersed. There was an oversight committee that was formed to look into the allegations. But when the oversight committee gave him a clean chit, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, then the protests resumed with intensity for 2 months. Amidst all that, in April, Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh announced that he will not contest the WFI polls. And then after that happened, the existing administration, the WFI, was dissolved, and then the IOA took charge of the functioning of the WFI. Then there was a 3-member ad hoc panel that was running the Wrestling Federation of India at this point in time. They had a simple task to ensure that the day-to-day functionings were happening and that fresh elections would be announced in the WFI. The initial date, the first date of the elections, was supposed to be on July 6th. But then that was postponed to July 11th. Now what happened in that? Because disaffiliated state bodies like Maharashtra, Haryana, Telangana, Rajasthan and Himachal Pradesh, they raised a complaint that since they were excluded, they wanted to come back into the election process. Now, in the 12-year period that Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh had run the WFI, at that time, several state units were disaffiliated. Maharashtra, Telangana, Haryana and all were involved in that. Haryana in particular is a big name because most of the wrestlers come from that particular state, and that disaffiliation meant that there was plenty of discontent. They approached the ad hoc panel, and that is why the election date from July 6th, it was postponed to July 11th. As the day came nearer, there was one more big jolt. July 11th date was also postponed because all of a sudden, the Guwahati High Court stayed the elections after Assam and Tripura sought right to participate in the poll process. Remember, the states that I had mentioned in the previous thing, Maharashtra, Haryana, Telangana, Rajasthan and Himachal, there was also Assam and Tripura. And now that they got a stay order from the Guwahati High Court, that election was postponed. We now felt that the quagmire, that the stalemate would drag on for months and months. But then, a couple of days back, the Supreme Court stayed the Guwahati High Court order, and that is the way fresh elections, it paved the way for fresh elections to be held. So what is the protocol? Once the Supreme Court stayed the Guwahati High Court order, at that time the ad hoc panel then had to just announce that fresh elections would take place. The date had to be decided, and finally on August 12th, it was bound to happen. Remember, the ad hoc panel had given a 45-day deadline for the elections to be held. But at that time now it has stretched well beyond, but better late than never, because one more entity was monitoring the progress that was there in the WFI, and that was the UWW, or the United World Wrestling, the association that monitors wrestling all over the world. Because if the elections would not have taken place at the WFI, UWW would have suspended India had that not happened. So, UWW would have suspended India, and what would have been the result of it? Athletes would have participated under a neutral flag. This was the bigger repercussion. So finally, August 12th, after all the delays, after all the administrative upheavals that have started from January till July, we now have a definitive date. August 1 is the day that the nominations will be filed. August 12th is the election. So one hopes this is the start of a new era in the WFI, because in a crucial Asian Games, World Wrestling Championships and Olympic build-up, we have lost 7 precious months. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. We'll be back with more updates on sports today. Tap that bell icon so that when we go live, and don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.